am not right.
You're terrible, Muriel.
Talk to me.
You gonna do that pogo?
You ain't talking to the cop. Today is a brand new day.
No, that's it. It's the vibe.
G'day, fellow Aussie film lovers, and welcome to another episode of Under Southern Screens, the most bricklaying Australian cinema podcast. I'm Bricklaying Mitch.
I'm Bricklaying Matthew. You said that so sensually, man.
I did.
You were just like, welcome.
Welcome.
This is the smooth listening hour. It reminds me of Smooth 91.5 because this is probably what a lot of migrants listen to. Older grandparent migrants listen to.
Is this something you know for a fact, or is this just a
my
call?
grandmother, bless her, she is a Smooth FM loyalist. So, I mean,
Okay.
It's obviously a great segue. Anyway, I mean, firstly, I mean, we said hello in the beginning here, but I really should be saying ciao, Mitch.
Buongiorno, Matthew.
Buongiorno, come stai?
Come ti chiami? Mi chiamo Mitchell.
I'm a third generation Italian immigrant. That's the breadth of my Italian knowledge. But I just wanted to embrace the Polynesian culture of Moana 2 this week. We're watching
just a white boy embracing the Italian culture. Overcome
and
by.
I just want to say this week I was overcome by the Italian culture of 1966's They're a Weird Mob. Mitch, what a curious oddity.
Well, what a curious film to have to issue a spoiler warning for.
Yes, spoilers for this film that is literally as old as my father.
It's a bit younger than my dad, I think.
It's okay, well, yeah. It's an interesting piece.
My dad just age-mogged your dad, so that's crazy.
God, embarrassing. Sorry, Phil.
Maybe take that out of the podcast. It's useless. This is useless critique.
It's okay. It's all right. Should I just get straight into an intro for our film this week?
Give us the lowdown of this film.
Because we do have a lot to get into, but I thought, look, They're a Weird Mob is about a migrant story first and foremost, and I don't think I'm going to be able to do this justice by myself, Mitch.
Uh-oh.
Do you mind if I bring someone in to help me with the intro this week?
This is crazy. I did not know this was going to happen. Yes, please.
Bear with me. Let me get my friend on the phone.
Ciao, questa settimana su Under Southern Screens, IOE Mitch Parliamo della spettacole commedia australiana del 1966. They're a Weird Mob. Questo film e per gli italiani. Poi segue un uomo di nome Nino, interpretato da Walter Chiari, che arriva a Sydney con la promessa di un lavoro. Ma è costretto a lavorare come muratore quando il lusso australiano promesso non viene mantenuto. Risacchiato. Questo film è stato realizzato con un budget ridotto di circa $200,000. E non ne vedrete molto perché è stato girato in tutta Sydney.
Oh, look, this is Gerful.
Mitch, spero che ti sia piaciuto guardare questo film tanto quanto è piaciuto a me.
Oh, okay, you're not done.
Perché lo trovo davvero carino, tutto sommato.
It's like Tissot Tomato.
I agree.
I have to say, I'm thrown back to a certain film where American is forced to pretend to be an Italian. He goes, Gorlami. Gorlami.
Can I just say I agree with what they said in that introduction wholeheartedly. Yeah. That's all I just want to say.
But for those who don't speak robot Italian, can you perhaps translate?
Yeah, this movie is a comedy about an Italian man who goes to Sydney and he's kind of just a displaced guy and he learns to assimilate into Australian life. That's sort of the Cliff Notes version of this.
Yeah.
So a 1966 Australian comedy.
Directed by an English director.
Could never fail, mate. Could
never fail. What I like about this movie is I like the way it represents the Australians and how casual we are. You know, casual in our racism, casual in our misogyny, casual in our xenophobia, casual in our work ethic. Just a bunch of casual guys, casual day drinking, constantly.
I think it is on the nose that the film starts with the song It's a Man's World, Sweetheart.
Oh, yeah. Not only starts, ends.
And bookends. And it bookends the film.
Ends the film.
So They're a Weird Mob is a very product of its time film. But the reason why I chose it this week for Under Sunscreens is because I think it is a really interesting snapshot of the migrant experience of Australia, or at least it attempts to display what the migrant experience was post-war. So for the 50s and 60s, obviously since colonization of Australia, this country's been built on migration and people coming in, and the migrant story is part and parcel to a lot of Australian families, including my own. So I think it's really cool. I don't know how successfully this film does it, but I think it's really, really cool that this film attempts to showcase this very, very large subsect of Australian culture.
I'm going to tip my hat to the film for, I guess, the attempt that was made. That's about as much as I'm going to give. You say comedy, I say where? Where are the jokes?
This film is basically 140 minutes of Fish Out of Water, the movie.
Because Fish Out of Water can be fun if the situation's good, but this one's just Italian man doesn't know Australian lingo, but Australians don't recognize that Italian man doesn't know Australian lingo. Therefore, Italian man is made fun of because he does not know Australian lingo. Also, not only Australian lingo, but the most stereotypical Australian. I don't think I've heard a bunch of these words used not unironically ever.
Yes, yeah.
It's used by Australians, if ever, to play up us being Australian. It's never.
It feels like a tourism advert. It feels like where the bloody hell are you?
Except it's bad because it's saying don't come here. We're gonna be exceedingly racist towards you.
Yeah, legit. Yeah. It's like the anti-tourism advert. I mean, yeah, man, it's rough. But look, I don't know, man. I think there are elements of their weird mob that can be commended. I mean, I think we'll start off with the positives and then we'll move into funny riffing mode.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really cool that they were able to shoot on location in Sydney throughout this whole movie. I think that was really, really cool.
I mean, you live in Sydney right now.
I'm a Sydney boy. I'm not
holding that against you, even though it does fill me with rage.
Oh, yeah, hell.
Because obviously this is set 60 years ago. How familiar is this Sydney to the Sydney you're living in right now?
It was crazy because a lot of it actually hasn't changed a ton. Like Bondi Beach looks pretty much exactly the same. Like even down to that, like the big Bondi Pavilion, it's the exact same structure and stuff like that. So from an aesthetic perspective, it's like, what a fantastic time capsule. The biggest omission, I think, from this is the Sydney Opera House because it hadn't actually been built yet.
Oh, really? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's why it's not in this film. It's because it hadn't been built. So they had, I think in the final shot, they have a big helicopter shot of Sydney Harbour and Circular Quay, and you can see it under construction. And it's like, what an awesome little precursor foreshadowing moment of things to come. And that's I think that's cool.
Honestly, I had no idea it was that young, in quotation mark. You know what I mean?
It's a young building. It took like 20 years to build. Anyway, but this is going to be the most film bro take of all time.
Hit us with that film bro take.
1966's There a Weird Mob reminds me of Jacques Tati's Playtime. Mitch is audibly face palming right now. And I say that because it feels lived in. The world feels personified in the way it's shot. I don't know, like the on-location shooting, the visual like bumblingness of our lead, it just gave me Playtime vibes. It's not of the same quality, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I just think in terms of aesthetics, it reminds me of Playtime.
I see it. I'm gonna be real. I haven't thought of Playtime since first year film.
Since film school.
Yeah, first year film studies.
I suck. Moving on.
I didn't say that, but you do. I actually do see what you're saying when you went further into it. Like, putting aside my funny, crude reaction, it does have that designed to be stumbled around but still realistic aesthetic for it.
Yeah.
One of my biggest problems with this movie, and it's not...
There are a few.
Look, the racism sucks. Maybe it's not as easy to get over it as I'm saying, but for me... There's a level of I could put the racism in that box that you put a lot of things in when you ingest older media.
Yeah, the product of its time thing.
Exactly. What I come up against is the huge amount of bricklaying that's done throughout this film. It's not interesting. I understand the point is kind of show, he wins over the Australians by being just a good, honest laborer.
Yeah, like a hard worker and stuff.
He shows to them that he's willing to learn how to do the work. You know, he starts off getting knackered almost immediately after one line of digging, but then he quickly learns.
He builds up the strength and endurance. But at the same time, it's just a bit, exploitation of migrant narrative. Yeah.
The girl he falls for is a horrid person. She's just
legit.
I feel like the love story kind of comes out of nowhere a little bit at the end. It's just like, oh, the Italian woman's actually already taken. Let's go for the Australian woman instead.
Stunningly beautiful, by the way. I just
the Italian woman or the
the Italian woman.
She's quite lovely, and she seems like a nice person too. Although, okay, actually, I have to ask this: were we supposed to know what was being said in Italian?
No.
Okay, good.
I've done a bit of research, and the movie did horribly in Italy, and I think it wasn't subbed or anything. This is the thing: this movie only works for Australians, yet for some reason it's got this Italian element to it. You know what I mean? It's got all these Australian slangisms and stuff like that, and it's like, what international audience is going to get this? You know what I mean?
It's almost like the point as well. It's the alienation of anyone who's not inside Australian culture. But this is like a fake Australian culture. This is the type of Australian culture you find in a Simpsons episode.
True. That's true.
It's up to the nth degree in this way that just, I'm not finding it amusing. I'm not laughing with the movie. The one thing I found funny was when that racist drunk fell off the barge. That was pretty funny. It was
sort of the notion that these attitudes are antiquated and have their comeuppance or whatever from that guy. But at the same time, everyone else is being sarcastic around him and not helping him assimilate, and it's interesting.
To bounce off that, I don't think the movie is saying this, but the way the movie rewards or punishes certain characters, it almost feels like it's saying it's only okay to be racist if you're doing it as a laugh. If you're doing it for like
a bit of banter.
Yeah, if you're doing it for the bants,
that is like a subsect of Australian culture as well. Like that whole sort of like, oh, it's just a joke, bro, type of thing. But I guess like it doesn't make it right.
It's just like, if it's not casual, then the racism is not okay. But if you're chill about your racism and you're laughing along with it, it's fine. Don't worry about it. You're good.
This is just a more sort of sanitized depiction of that, and maybe that's just antiquated, much like the views in this film.
That's what's crazy, actually. Mentioning sanitation, that's what's crazy about this movie. I watched it on Prime. It's G-rated on Prime. I don't think this movie should be G. I feel like it should be PG at least, with the amount of drinking at least in it.
Yeah, there's a lot of alcoholism.
There's no like swearing or violence or anything like that in it, but they're alcoholing up like continuously.
And I think that's a funny element of this, is that the relationship to alcohol in this movie is like their nectar in this movie. You know what I mean? The whole story is about Nino, who's the head of the film, like Giovanni, most Italian name of all time.
Oh yeah, it's like the John of Italians.
Genuinely. He comes to Australia on the promise that he's going to become a sports editor. And then we find out that that position is completely bogus. So he gets the first job he can get as a bricklayer. And then through that, he becomes accustomed to the hard yakka of Australian culture or whatever.
Yeah, brewskis.
Which basically means continuous manual labor, racial othering and banter, air quotes banter, and then just ending it all with like drowning your sorrows in beer at the end of the day.
The movie actually highlights that final notion you just mentioned with how it culminates in him shouting at, it was like not at his wife, but it was kind of past his wife to the person who was his friend's wife, I think. Bring out the bloody beers!
Yeah, domestic abuse. Funny joke.
And it was played off as a joke, like, oh, he's finally understanding Australian culture. He's finally getting it. Because then his wife or fiancée then takes off her brown overcoat to reveal a nice red singlet type thing.
Aussie summer wear, yes.
Finally, the party can start because this guy shouted at a woman to bring out alcohol.
Yeah.
And he would never have done that at the start of the movie. He's being corrupted.
He's being warped by the munted Australian mind.
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, and that final confrontation with his fiance's dad.
The father, yes.
Oh, insane. It has that Ricky Gervais writing where he's positioned the stupid, dumb, liberal barista to get absolutely wrecked and pwned by his super smart character because she asked him if he wants oat milk or not or something. You know, like as the he goes, oh, what kind of pope ever gets birthed in a tent, because he's saying, oh, we're gonna have to live in a tent for a little bit with my fiance because I gotta build my house. And then the freaking father is like, oh, but what kind of, he was like, he wants a pope for some reason. He wants an Australian pope. And he goes, what pope was ever born in the tent? And it's so obviously leading to the line, oh, Jesus was born in a shed.
Epic pwn dunk.
It's like a freaking Steven Crowder video or any of those right-wing
It's framed like it's the final boss of the film. Do you know what I mean? Like the
he
Australian
can go toe to toe with a true blue Aussie.
even though he has been for like the whole movie. There was the guy on the boat and the guy in the pub and the
But this one's old and rich.
the jokes aren't great and the story is tone deaf in the way it's performed. But I will say, as a third generation migrant, this is accurate enough to how migrants started work and built their lives. I mean, I know for a fact that my grandfather was in construction, doing this. So it is the migrant story, but I feel like its heart is in the wrong place there. I think it's telling that, at least on the version that I watched, this film hasn't really been restored very well.
Yeah,
or,
there was the coffee mark.
Yeah. And
I
the
saw
audio's a bit crunchy wunchy, and it's 4K restoration. They're a weird mob criterion.
Unnecessary, unneeded, unwanted.
Let's talk about some of because there are cameos in this as well.
I didn't get a single cameo.
I know that television's Graham Kennedy was in this.
As who?
And they make a joke. He was like a television personality. It would be like if Carl Stefanovic cameoed in an Australian movie as Carl Stefanovic.
Does it say anything if I actually don't know who Carl Stefanovic is?
Really? Oh my gosh, he's the guy. What about Peter Hitchner? You know Peter Hitchner?
I have heard the name.
I'm talking about news reporters now, bro. I'm talking about Channel 9 News.
Oh, I don't watch the news.
I read Reddit.
No, I read it I read The Guardian.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, brother. Go off.
It's just depressing though, so I actually stopped reading the news.
Everything's going wrong in the world.
There's 3 news articles that continuously pop up, at least on The Guardian. One of them is everyone's killing everyone.
Yep.
The other one is politicians are stupid and they're going to kill you.
Yep.
And the third one is we've invented a new train /bus/tram.
/tunnel.
/tunnel.
Yeah.
It's the circle of the news. It's the news cycle.
And I can see why you've tuned out. Look, Graham Kennedy, it was a famous broadcaster, but he's from Melbourne, and so the whole joke there is that he's in Sydney and he doesn't know where to go and everyone in Sydney hates him. And it's sort of like a representation of the Sydney versus Melbourne rivalry. Why is this in my Italian migrant movie?
I feel like the Sydney versus Melbourne rivalry is played up more in the media than it actually is in real life.
Yeah, no one cares.
I made that joke before about not hating you for living in Sydney, but I'm gonna be real. No one cares.
No one thinks about anything. It's literally an hour plane ride, dude. I can watch half of this movie in that time.
Still have 50 minutes to go upon arriving here.
Which is what you did. You had to break this one up, you were saying.
Okay, so I had a busy weekend. I was doing house sitting and stuff. We had Monday off because of
Labor Day. Which we don't have in Sydney.
Sucked in.
Melbourne
I had Melbourne off because of Labor Day. I had Labor Day off because I live in Melbourne. And I watched half of it because I actually spent most of the day watching Sex in the City instead.
Fair enough.
It hit 10:30, I want to say. And I usually stay up later than that, but I just went, I don't want to watch the rest of this right now. I'll watch it tomorrow. And I did. I watched 20 minutes on the tram and I watched the other 20 minutes as I did washing.
They're a weird mob infiltrated your daily lifestyle.
Yeah, only for one day though. It's not going to remain.
That's it. Never again.
Because you watched it about not a month ago, but a few.
Yeah, I watched it a little while ago just because it was in this really excellent, I'm sure we'll talk about this on the pod eventually, but there was a great 3-part documentary series made by the late great David Stratton where he talks about Australian cinema, which was kind of my inspiration for wanting to do this podcast in the first place.
Oh my goodness.
But and he talks about their weird mob as the breakthrough of Australian comedy and stuff, which it kind of is, i.e. it's one of the first Australian comedy films ever made.
Sure.
Yeah, and so I was curious, and so I watched it and I was just like, bro, what is this?
I heard you talk about this because this was actually what we were meant to do. It's a Scooby-Doo, but then we realized that episode was April 1st and we wanted to do a April 1st. So
we wanted to do a funny.
Yeah, we wanted to do a funny. So we pushed this back 1 week. And then last week we'd forgotten to talk about what movie we're going to do the week after because we like to keep you guys updated so you have a week to get prepared and all that.
Yeah.
If you want to watch the movie before we talk about it. Mm-hmm. And so I'd forgotten you'd suggested that movie and then you brought it back up and I went, oh, right, yeah. If Matt's really pushing this must be a good movie.
Nope.
And then halfway through watching this, I pulled up Letterboxd to see what else my mutuals thought. And only 2 people of my mutuals have watched this. It's you.
I'm amazed there were 2.
And one of my film professors.
Nice.
And you'd given this not a good score as well.
Yeah,
You gave it not
I-
horrible. I've given it worse, but you did not give this a good score. And I went,
Yeah.
he's freaking tricked me.
And I'm pretty lenient in my Letterboxd reviews, but yeah. this-
you rate things pretty high. I mean, I think I'm similar to, like, my average is 3 stars at least. So,
I will say, like, this is not a great watch, but I did enjoy myself a little bit more this time than watching it the first time around.
Yeah.
Just because, like, I don't know, I'm living in Sydney now, and I'm sort of getting the vibe. I'm getting the Sydney vibe. Do you know what I mean? I feel like Nino in this movie, mate. He's like a displaced migrant who's by himself or whatever. I'm a displaced Melburnian in Sydney, just hanging out.
You're more like that newscaster than you are like Nino.
Yeah, true. Yeah, fair enough. I'm nothing like Nino, but I'm with him in spirit, my Italian brethren. The thing I also kind of like about this film is how sort of ambitious they get.
Sure.
There's a scene where they're like filming at Bondi and they're in the water. They're like filming them both in the water, and the waves are like crashing about and stuff. And it's like, bro, they were getting that camera wet, you know?
This is an old camera too. That thing ain't waterproof.
That film ain't waterproof. That could have been lost forever. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a miracle.
Could have become lost media. Do you reckon they actually lost a reel?
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. That's the other thing about this film is it was filmed and produced on a very small budget of I think about £200,000, which granted is a couple of million in today's money, but still that's like
a couple of million
small.
in the film industry is still pretty low.
Yeah, 100%. And it actually did quite well in Australia. It made about $2 million at the time.
About 10 times its budget.
Yeah, it did really well in Australia based on that small budget, which is the point I was getting to.
It looks good.
It's a big movie for a small budget. It's very guerrilla in that sense.
It's not shot bad. Like, I'm not going to say it looks bad. If anything, it looks pretty good. I'll say this. I actually did laugh twice during the movie. I already mentioned that I found the part where the drunk falls off the barge pretty funny. But the other one I found funny was when he's really antsy during the thunderstorm.
Oh, yeah.
There's 2 doorways to this lounge room, and the people he's living with are in there. And one of them's reading the newspaper now, and the other one is painting her nails. And he just keeps appearing and disappearing. Then he tries to get the cat to drink water or milk or something.
He's just like fidgeting and stuff.
He's just fidgeting and stuff. And they go, "What are you doing?" And he pokes it, and he pulls his head back out.
Just a nice bit of visual comedy.
And that was shot well too, because they did that twice actually, because there's that second one where the guy, same couple, one of them's in the kitchen cutting bread and the other one's walking around preparing to go hunting, and he walks out the back of the set and appears on the right hand side in the doorway, there's just I thought that was good.
It was charming.
Because it's all one shot as well, pretty much.
I guess it shows that visual comedy is timeless. Do you know what I mean? That's why this doesn't work so well. It's because so much of it is based in
racism,
dialogue and racism. Yeah, just straight up racism. But like when a visual gag works, it works, you know?
I think it'd be remiss of us to forget to mention kind of just how sexist the movie is as well.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's very planted in the gender roles of the time.
That's also played for jokes. There's a part where Nino is running off with a young woman to go somewhere, and you just hear a guy off the side go, "Oh, they all look the same in the dark, don't they?" or something like that. And it's just hard to watch. And then of course the culmination of the film is the hilarious moment where Gino yells at a woman to get him beer.
Yeah.
Gino or Nino? It's Nino, isn't it? I keep saying Gino.
Like the Super Mario RPG character. That's a cool niche reference for you guys there.
You do this every time. References that only 50% of the co-hosts get.
That's all right. Someone gets it.
That's a passing grade.
Yeah, exactly. You got to pull some out for your half of the
this
audience.
This one's for you and the audience that's here for you. Yeah, I see that.
Anyway, but what an interesting little
curious film.
Crazy little shenanigan moment.
Shenanigaggles.
This is just a movie about a little Italian guy having a bit of a romp around Sydney, mate.
I've seen worse movies, and we'll probably see worse throughout this podcast as well.
Yeah, exactly. What do you say to the argument that this birthed the resurgence of the Australian film industry in the 1970s?
I say clearly they're forgetting about Picnic and Hanging Rock.
Because this was 1966. There was basically no Australian film industry at this point. Look, and this rose from the embers of nothing. And yeah, some say that it built the industry back up. But
I can
I'm
respect
not so sure.
this being a starting point. Doing this podcast, from what I've read, it was Picnic at Hanging Rock that really jump-started. Maybe the car was rolling, but
Yeah.
Picnic at Hanging Rock was the one who like got behind the wheel and like jump started the clutch and all that. Yeah.
There's not much to talk about with this movie.
I think I'm done. I think I'm done.
I think I'm done. I think I'm tapping out. This might be a shorter episode, guys. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah.
But you know what, Mitch? Do you want to know what I think the most Australian part of They're a Weird Mob is from 1966?
I am so excited to see what you've picked out of the many, many things it could be.
I think the most Australian thing about They're a Weird Mob is there's a either drunk or high or mentally impaired man on public transport yelling at innocent bystanders about something, notably, probably mainly racism.
It is a universal experience, I think.
Any
for most
state.
Aussies. Usually it's the bus.
Yeah, either the bus or the train.
Yeah.
I want to get off the train.
Oh, I want to get off the train. Yeah, classic.
That's a
classic.
great clip. As you said, that's one of the funniest clips in the movie. Just a guy,
It's not funny when he's doing the racism. It's only funny when he falls off the boat.
and when he gets his little comeuppance, when he gets his dues.
There's that part of where the guy who was the immigration officer or something.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, "Oh, it's you again." It's like, well, what are the odds of this guy being the one who, is right?
He's the circular key police officer.
He's a lot nicer on the second go around. Sorry, you were going to say.
That was another thing I didn't realize is that the word bloody was considered a swear word in the 1960s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? One of the things I do find funny is the fact that Nino says King's Bloody Cross until he's corrected.
That becomes the name.
That's cute and sweet. Like, that's not, at least for me, it was cute and sweet.
Would you have been given a fine for saying bloody in real life?
I don't know. I have to ask my dad. He lived through it.
What were the rules on public swearing? Because if that's the case, we'd all be screwed these days.
Yeah. I say bloody all the time.
Amongst other words, mate.
Amongst other words like damn and gosh darn.
That's going a bit far, man.
Yeah, so you might have to beep that out.
I don't know if I can use that in my PG Christian
Minecraft podcast.
Minecraft podcast server.
Right.
Man, thank you for indulging me in watching this movie.
You're welcome.
Can I be honest with you? I just wanted to meme a little bit.
Yeah, I got the sense that was the case.
Because sometimes we just got to watch Australian movies that are like little footnotes in Australian history that are just a little bit funny.
I agree. We got to watch the bad and the good. That's part of the deal.
And we're going to watch everything. We're going to watch absolutely everything.
I'm
It's going
so
to go
excited.
for 500 episodes.
500 years, Mitch and Matt.
That's a very topical reference. Anyway, Mitch, what are we watching next week for Under Southern Screens?
Next week, I'm proposing we watch 2022's The Stranger with Joel Edgerton and Sean Harris.
Ooh, I've never actually heard of this film, so it's a nice role reversal.
No, I have heard of it, but I haven't seen it. I mean, it's meant to be good.
Hell yeah. Well, I'm actually locked in. Hopefully it's a little bit better and has a more contemporary worldview than They're a Weird Mob.
I've heard good things.
Well, I'm very, very excited to see it. Mitch, where can our beautiful, quite attractive listeners
Oh my goodness.
find us on the social medias?
Well, you can email us at undersouthernscreenspod@gmail.com.
You certainly can.
You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads at undersouthernscreenspod.
That's it. Yeah, we said we had X in previous episodes. I can't be bothered removing it from the previous
Yeah,
episodes.
sorry. I had that written down in my notes, even though we actually decided we weren't.
Don't mention X.
And I was like, X sounds good to me.
Sorry if you went to X expecting to see an Under Southern Screens pod account.
We're not going there.
We don't support that.
I mean, it's not like Meta is that much better, but it's slightly better.
I think X has the same values as They're a Weird Mob in many ways.
Yeah.
That's all I will say.
We'd probably go on 4chan before we went on X.
Luckily, we don't have to because we have all those other options. And you know
Yay.
what? Guys, send us an email. What did you guys think of They're a Weird Mob?
Yeah, what do you think?
I'd love to know, mate.
I'm still thinking about the robot Italian at the start.
Yeah, yes. How did we not talk about that? Anyway, context, you don't need any. Watch the movie and form your own opinion. What am I, Carsten Runquist? Anyway.
I was actually watching one of his videos before doing the podcast today.
It's on brand. I don't know. That was just off the dome, mate. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We'll see you next week.
And keep an eye on them southern screens.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Under Southern Screens. We'll be back next week to talk more films down under. We just want to attribute that our opening title is Heavy Duty by Zoo, and our closing title is Heavyweight by Fell Creek. Thanks so much for listening, and Mitch and I will see you in the next episode. See you next time. Under Southern Screens would like to acknowledge the stolen lands on which this podcast is recorded and produced, and pay tribute to the Wurundjeri and Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation and Camaragal people of the Eora Nation.
Sovereignty was never ceded, and we pay respect to all Indigenous elders, past, present, and emerging. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land.